Session 7, Problem Solving. Tonight's activities focus on problem solving and introduce a step-by-step approach to resolving issues. Families will get to apply this step-by-step approach to several stories and scenarios, including this week's teaching from the elder. Participants will split into breakout groups, where youth will play a board game that requires them to apply the problem-solving techniques they've learned. Meanwhile, adults will experiment with an approach to resolving issues with their children and discuss different scenarios. Finally, communities running 2.5-hour sessions will hear a story and think about how their own talents can be applied to the problems they encounter, while communities hosting 2-hour sessions will go right into the final activity of the session, which provides participants with a last opportunity to apply the problem-solving steps. The session starts as usual by getting together and welcoming participants to today's activities. You can briefly introduce the theme of today's session, problem solving. Invite the elder to conduct whatever ceremony, protocol, or acknowledgements are appropriate for the session. You can budget about 5 minutes for this portion of the program. After the opening is mealtime. If you decide that it's appropriate, you can ask the elder to bless or give thanks for the food. Invite families to serve themselves and give priority and assistance to elders and anyone who might need extra help. Make sure that everyone lends a hand to clean up. In total, the meal should take about 30 minutes. Once you've finished eating and cleaned up, you'll be collecting feedback on the last session from participants. This should take about 10 minutes and involves asking the group the following questions. What were some of the take-home messages from last week's session on managing emotions, and especially anger? Next, you can review the take-home activity by inviting participants to share their solutions to small problems they've dealt with. You can offer an example from your own life if you'd like. After reviewing the take-home activity, you'll be introducing participants to a 5-step approach to problem solving. Bring out the flip chart and write down the following 5 steps. 1. Stop and identify your feelings. What do I feel? 2. Think about the problem. Why do I feel this way? Why does it affect me? 3. Evaluate your role. What caused this problem? What is my role in the situation? 4. Picture your choices. What can I do? Who could I turn to for help? And last, 5. Select the best options and try them out. Once you've explained the 5 steps, the elder will tell a story that gives participants an opportunity to apply the steps by going through the worksheet found in the youth booklets. Budget 25 minutes for the explanation of the steps, the elder's story, and the worksheet. Next, youth and adults will split up for breakout activities. The youth will be using the Fish and Canoe board game to play a version of Snakes and Ladders that asks them to solve problems to advance along the game board. Make sure to check out the detailed explanation of the game included in the manual. Try to budget about 25 minutes to explain and play the game. Meanwhile, you'll lead adults through a discussion on managing issues that they encounter with their children. Once again, you can use the flip chart to walk adults through an 8-step approach to resolving issues. From here, invite adults to go through the page called an 8-step parenting approach in their booklets, after which you'll lead them through an activity using index cards printed out from the manual that invite them to apply their problem-solving approaches to different scenarios. Budget about 25 minutes for the adult breakout session. After the breakout sessions, communities running 2.5-hour sessions will get participants together for a story activity, while communities running 2-hour sessions will head into the final activity of the night. If you're running 2.5-hour sessions, you'll share a local story with participants and ask them to think about how they can use their diverse talents to solve problems. The story can be found in the manual in the appendix to Session 7. After the story, lead families through the page called Gifts and Values activity in the youth booklet. For the last 10 minutes of this activity, you'll encourage families to discuss their talents among themselves. In all, this portion of the session should take about 30 minutes. If you're holding 2-hour sessions, go straight from the breakout session to the last activity of the night. Ask participants to turn to the 5 steps exercise in the youth booklets and invite them to complete the activity. This should take about 15 minutes. Session 7 comes to a close after the group activity. We recommend that you thank participants for their presence and let them know that you're looking forward to seeing them at the following session. Next, explain the take-home activity, which asks participants to reflect on their different sources of support and, in turn, to think about the things and people that they themselves support. People can give and receive support from more than just other people. For instance, some people support their pets or their land, and vice versa. Finally, you can lead participants through a relaxation exercise, or ask the elder to offer a closing word, or observe any other meaningful practice. Please keep in mind that this video is only a summary of the session. Make sure to read the detailed description in the manual, and to prepare the material as indicated. Thank you for your role in bringing the Listening to One Another program to families in your community.